Good evening and welcome to tonight's show. I'm your host, Tina Dawson, the owner of True Blue Designs, and it's truly an honor to be before you this evening. Please like and share and let everyone know that we are on the air. We are streaming simultaneously on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel at True Blue Designs Presents the Inside Perspective. I also want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the notification bell so that you can be alerted when new content becomes available. Um, Tonight's guest, Miss LaNise Thrasher, is known as the Love Cheerleader. LaNise is an author, speaker, and heartbreak coach. She is known for teaching professional women how to heal past heartbreak so they can regain their confidence and increase productivity. Now, go ahead, like and share, and invite others to tune in and be inspired. And help me give a warm welcome to tonight's guest, Miss LaNise Thrasher. Let's see. There you go. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good. Thank you so much for saying yes and being on the show. I have been looking forward to this interview for a while.
So excited. Thank you for having me. I am can't wait to dive on in.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. So we're going to start off the interview by asking you just to tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Okay, perfect. Well, hi, everybody. My name is LaNise, and I am the Love Cheerleader. So, like Tina said, I am an author, I'm a speaker. Professionally, I'm in IT, so I'm actually a project manager and program manager. But one of my favorite things to do is that I'm a heartbreak coach. So as a heartbreak coach, I typically work with a lot of professional women. I do work with some men, and I teach them how to heal past heartbreak because, as we all know, that is extremely difficult. And so I teach them how to regain their confidence, but also increase their productivity so that they can finally have freedom. So I absolutely love what I do. And it's really like a joy to be able to bring that, healing to other people. So I absolutely love it.
Let's discuss a little bit about your journey to becoming the Love Cheerleader. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So 8 years ago, I found myself just staring at the wall. My heart was racing and I was crying, like the ugly cry, like the cry that you're just like, this is bad. I had like the ugliest cry ever. But at this moment, I really had to sit with the fact that I was going through a divorce. Everyone around me was in successful relationships. My parents have been married for 41 years. So I was always around like really successful relationships. And so I really had to sit back and be like, this is really happening. Like I'm really going through a divorce right now. And so what I did is, I'd gone to therapy, I had read books, I had family and friends who were just super supportive, but I knew I needed something more. Because everything that I was given just was helping, but it wasn't quite helping. And so I was like, okay, I need something. I don't know what this is. So I just started creating it. And as I created it, people started seeing me. They started seeing, like, oh my gosh, like she's really healing and she's doing really well. So people started asking me, like, can you help me? And I would say, okay, sure, I'll help you. And so as I started helping other people, they were getting the same results and the same transformations. And I
Wow.
was like, okay, wow, this is something. And then I remember God kept pushing me into doing it. And I was like, me? Are you sure? I don't know. And I kept trying to run away from it. And then finally, I just, I had a moment where I was like, okay, I can't run from this anymore. And so then that's when I just started doing it as, a actual thing, and making it my actual business. And so that's how I got started. And I absolutely love it.
Let's talk a little bit about you mentioned that you went to therapy.
Mhm.
Let's talk about how important now that you've gone through that, and you still may be going through therapy, but let's look back a little bit. Now that you're on this side, how important was it for you to make that decision to go to therapy?
Therapy was like the best decision I could have ever ask for,
Mhm.
because there are things that your therapist sees that you really don't see at all. And really, I had no way of identifying what to call some of the things that I was experiencing. And so
Mhm.
she put a name to it. I'm like, oh, that's what that is. And once you would, like, I would go Google it because I just love Google. And I'm like, let me talk about, because maybe you just over there lying to me. And so once I would go Google it, I'm like, oh, this is real. Like I had no idea that some of those things were actually happening. And so therapy is such an amazing thing. I know it is taboo in the Black community. And so I'm always encouraging people, if you need to, if you need a therapist, find a therapist, because no one should have to suffer alone. We see it too many times in the media and just among, family and friend circles. We hear a lot about people who are going through things and they don't seek the help. And so I'm always encouraging people, if you need therapy, please go get it, because it is one of the best things you'll ever do.
Yeah, I also have gone through a divorce, and taking the journey
Mhm.
of self reflection and really finding out about yourself is transformative.
It is.
And sometimes things like that have to happen to push you, put you back on course where you're supposed to be.
Right.
So, I know when you people go through it, it's painful, it's disappointing, and all those other feelings. But you can get something positive out of it. I think a lot of it is about your perspective. And I know, with me, therapy helps you to get another perspective, you know, when you're going through different hurts and heartbreaks.
Right. And it's just something you sometimes you shy away from, because you're like, I don't want people in my business. What are they going to say? And all this. And it's like, they're not going to say anything. They're here to help you. And
Right.
that's it. They're not going to go talk about you on social media or anything like that. They're just here to help. And so I really think it's a blessing to have that help, but we just have to go out and actually get that help.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about just a couple of things that you may have learned about yourself when you were going through either your journey or therapy or just transforming into the woman you are today?
Sure. So I learned that I actually enjoy doing things by myself. I
We were
actually
just talking about that.
No, we were just talking about it, but I learned that, because you're so used to going to places with someone else, that was like a little bit of a challenge. I remember the first time I went to Publix by myself. I was like, "Oh my gosh, what are people going to say? What are they going to ask me? Like, what's going to happen?" And once I went, I was like, "Oh, that was easy."
Yeah.
Like, no one asked me any questions, no one did anything. So I started then going places by myself, going to the movies by myself, going out to eat by myself. And I actually love people watching. And so I would
Yeah, I do
go out
too.
and I'm looking at people and I'm like, oh, they're not really happy over there. And then I'd be like, oh, but they're really happy. Like I would just figure out stuff. And so I
Mhm.
just really enjoyed that. I like my own company and I'm okay with my own company. So if I want to go see a movie and nobody wants to go, okay, I'm gonna go by myself and I'll tell y'all all about it. So I have just learned, like, look, I'm not gonna wait on y'all. Life is too short to be waiting on y'all. I'm gonna go. So that was one of the major things that I learned. But then also just to enjoy life, right? Like so
Mhm.
many times we get caught up in, I gotta go here, I gotta go here, I gotta go there. It's like, just calm down, take a deep breath, and it's gonna be okay. Like, just pace yourself. And that was the biggest thing, because we're just always so busy. So
Yeah.
having to just pace ourselves was great.
Yeah. And as I've gotten older, I've learned that less is really more, right?
Yes.
Running the street when I was younger, you gotta go here, gotta go there, want to do this, gonna do that. And then the older I get, it's like, can I find a nap?
Yeah. Yes.
What are
That
you
is
doing this weekend? Nothing.
that You have no idea how many times I have turned people down and they're like, "What are you doing?" "Taking a nap. I just been quiet because I've had a long week and I don't want to add to it for the weekend." So, yes, I do that all the time.
Yeah, I told my daughter, I said, when you were a kid, you had to fight you to take a nap. And now that you're a young adult, you're just trying to find a nap anytime. Can I get 15 minutes?
That's
I
it.
said, now you see the power of you getting
Yes.
just a little bit of rest when you can.
I understand. That is me all the time. Every time I'm around my little cousins and they're trying to fight a nap, I'm like, stop fighting. Take the nap. Take the nap. Because you're gonna wish you could have a nap when you get older.
You would pay to have one.
You will. You're like, I'll give you $20 just so I can take a nap. I
Or
will be.
turning your phone off. You
Yeah.
know, that's therapeutic too.
Ooh, it's a thing. I love putting my phone on do not disturb.
You know, I just found that button, believe it or not.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Oh.
because when I turn my phone upside down,
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's a feature of the phone that it does the do not disturb when I turn it upside down. So I just figured out, I'm like, why am I getting any calls? And I was like, oh, it's a feature built into my phone.
Your phone was like, we know you need a nap, so we're gonna help you out.
So let's talk about some of the services that you provide as the Love Cheerleader.
Okay, so this is one of my favorite questions, and I get super excited because I love helping people. So I created a course called "It's Time to Move: The ABCs of Healing," and so in that course, I have an ebook that I also wrote, and you get that ebook along with the course. And so the course is for 4 weeks, and then I also have a coaching program where I work with individuals for 8 weeks, and we actually work through a lot of things. We go really deep. But I also have some really fun homework in there to actually help people as they're on their journey. So those are two of my absolute favorite things that I have, my course and my ebook. So those are some of like the major ways that people work with me is through those items. I also have some ebooks that are coming out next year that your audience has now just found out about, but I have a couple things coming out, but those are the major ways through my course and through my coaching.
And you being on this journey and creating this business has opened up so many doors for you. And a couple of doors that you have been able to walk through is public speaking and podcasting. So let's talk a little bit about that, some of the opportunities that you were able to participate in.
Absolutely. So I am very grateful for every opportunity I've ever received. But lately, I've done a lot of public speaking. So I spoke at a virtual conference in March of 2022. I also spoke at another virtual conference in July of 2022. And then I spoke at a in-person event that was here in Atlanta in August of 2022. And then I spoke at another in-person event here in Atlanta in October of 2022. So that was
busy.
I was really busy. When I say it out loud, I'm like, wow, you were really busy.
You were busy.
Really busy. So I've spoken at 4 different events this year. I've been on several people's podcasts. I actually I was just on a podcast that came out yesterday. So that was really exciting. But I've been on several people's podcasts this year. I've also had the opportunity to be featured in different articles. So I was featured in some articles in 2021. So then in 2022, I was featured in Canvas Rebel that just came out in November. Right around Thanksgiving, that one came out. But one of my biggest ones that was like such a blessing was I was actually featured in an article that's in the Netherlands.
Let's talk about that.
So that was really exciting. So I actually connected with the lady back over the summer. And so I actually got an opportunity to be featured in her magazine. And we did this whole big write-up about me and what I do and how I got to be the Love Cheerleader. So it was super exciting. And I'll tell you a quick little thing that I'm going to just give you the exclusive.
Okay.
I just wrote an article for her magazine and it just came out today. So I'll be posting about that. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of work with her out in, overseas. It's really cool when you see something, you're like, that's me. Like I'm in the Netherlands now. Like, Lord, I thank you because I did not know. I had no idea that this was going to happen.
International.
No, I was like, I'm international now. I was like, Lord, I had no idea. Thank you.
That's a blessing.
It's a true blessing. Like I really had no idea that that this was what God had for me as soon as I gave him my yes.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Let's talk about the power of yes. You opened up that door.
Yes.
You're gonna have me shout. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the power of yes.
Okay, so God really wants us to give him our yes, right? So when I was just pushing back so much for God, like, no, I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. And God really sat me down. And really what happened is I got shingles in 2019. And
Okay.
it was the craziest thing ever. People were like, how did you get shingles? You're super young. I'm
Mhm.
37. I'll be 38 in February, but I was 34 when I got
Oh,
shingles. And so I went to the emergency room because I was like, I don't know what's happening. I had no energy. And when they said you have shingles, I was like, who has shingles? Like me? And so shingles really taught me a lot. God sat me down for 19 days, and
wow.
it was literally right before the pandemic. And with shingles, you can't be around someone who has not had chickenpox, or else I
Okay.
could have given them chickenpox. And
Mm,
so it was the equivalent of pre-COVID because I couldn't be around many people. I was around very few people who had
mhm.
chickenpox. Like they would just come over and sit with me. But it was they were like, I'm not scared. I'm gonna come sit with you. And I was like, I appreciate it. Come love on me because no one
Right.
can talk to me. So but it was in that moment that God really showed me, like, I told you what to do and you're not doing it. And I was like, okay, all right,
Mhm.
let's really have to do what God wants you to do because it's like you're being selfish because there's something that God has for someone else through you, but you're
Right.
stopping them from getting what they need because you're like, no, I don't want to do that. And so that was really like, okay, God, you got me together real quick. I'm not going to do this
Mhm.
anymore. I'm going to do it your way. And once I did it God's way, it just opened so many doors
Open
that I
up.
never saw possible. Like I never, if you would have asked me in 2020 when I first started this business, like, where are you going to take it? I would have just said, I have no idea. Like I had no idea it was going to have me featured in different magazines in 2020, in 2020, 2021, 2022. Like people started hearing more about me. And I was like, this is not me, y'all. Like this is literally like, let's
That's
be
right.
clear who he is. But it's just been a true blessing because I've been able to help people who really needed, like, they needed some help. And they just didn't know they needed the help, or they knew they needed the help, but didn't know what to do. So it's just been a true blessing. Like, and it's been a true testament of when you just give God your yes, He'll do the rest. Like, He just wants you to say yes to Him, and everything else will
Right.
fall into place. So
Right.
that
Yeah.
was huge.
I've
That was
had
huge.
I've had my recently I had a yes moment. And it doesn't
Mm.
once you say yes, it doesn't take him long at all.
Mhm.
He just wants your obedience,
Yes.
and that's the thing. People and then you also touched on something that I think is so key that even though he gave you the idea to create the
Mhm.
business is not for you and is not about you. It's
Mm-mm.
about those that you are supposed to help through the entity, which is your business.
Right.
And I think that is just so key because I've always been taught that as long as you provide the need, the finances, and the I was gonna say wherewithal, but the things that you need
Yeah.
will
Everything
come.
you need will be there.
Yeah,
Mhm.
well, yeah, he'll provide the provision. There you go. So he'll take care of the provision for the vision. You just have
Right.
to say that yes and continue to walk it out. And I'm telling you, when you're obedient, he will blow your mind, and it won't take him long at all.
No. You completely blow your, I mean, I if you would have asked me in June or even July when I got the opportunity, like, okay, you're gonna be in the Netherlands, I was like, what? Like what? Like I was blown away. I was like, wait, what? Like it was, I had no clue. And I was like, I didn't even know this was gonna happen. So it's really opened up a lot of doors. It's also
Mhm.
allowed me to meet a lot of people that I would have never normally met. And so it's just like, okay, God, I'm gonna always give you my yes. I'm gonna always be obedient because I know there's a purpose behind it too. So
Right.
I'm just gonna
Mhm.
keep doing whatever you want me to do, and we'll just go for it and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, I'm very proud of you. I really am. Like I told you before, I've been watching. You've
I
been busy.
I have been busy. I have been busy. I have, but I so appreciate you. Thank you so much for that because I really, truly am always like, how can I help more people? What can I do? So I really appreciate
Mhm.
that.
Well, thank you for saying yes and coming on the show because that's part of it is sitting down on a platform like this to share the insight of your company, your
Mhm.
goals, your passion, and you know um, and what you're trying to do to help the community and the people that you're supposed to serve. So
Right.
I really appreciate that. When someone is working with you, what's
Mhm.
the first step you want clients to commit to?
I really want them to commit to the process, because it's really, really hard if you don't commit to the process. So if
Right.
you say like, "Hey, I'm ready to heal," but then you're like, "I don't have time right now." Like you have to make time for things that you want. So if
Right.
you really want it, you got to make time for it. So I really want someone who's going to commit and that they're going to give it their all, because if you don't, you can end up really bleeding on people that didn't even hurt you. And I
Mm,
need people to understand that because, I mean, when you're dealing with heartbreak, a lot of times we just talk about romantic heartbreak, but there are so many other forms of heartbreak. Like it could be a job loss, it could be I'm unhappy at my job, the loss of a loved one, the loss of a pet. It could be a
mm,
sickness. Like there's a wide variety of things that are associated with heartbreak, but we often only think of romantic. But I've dealt with every last one of those examples of heartbreak. I just told you I had shingles. Well, that, was
mm.
sickness. And I was extremely devastated. I'm like, I can't go anywhere. I can't talk to anybody.
You were
I don't know what's
isolated.
like I was isolated. And it like I
Yeah.
said, it was before COVID. So it was like I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know what to expect. And so that was a huge form of heartbreak for me. Like I don't get sick that often. So to have that level of heartbreak, I was like, what do people do when they sick? Do you stay home? Like you can't, like I was confused and my heart was just broken. Like I didn't know what to do being sick like that. And so I just really want people to commit to the process and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to give it my all. And just know that I'm right there with you. So you're not going through it by yourself. Like you have your own personal person right here. Whenever you fall or whenever you have a question, I'm right here to help you. So you don't have to go through it alone. Because oftentimes we do go through things alone and then it just doesn't help because then we kind of stay isolated a little bit. And I don't want people to feel like that. So I
Oh yeah.
really just want them to commit to the process. I promise you, I make it fun. It's not all, I'm not going to have you crying all day because I don't cry all day.
Right.
And I, so we're not going to cry all day. It's actually like the way I structured everything out, it makes sense and you're not
Mhm.
crying all day long. So yeah, so that's really what I want people to know.
Right. Yeah. And you have to find some humor um, in the situation and as you're going through. And I know you to be an upbeat, uplifting person. So I can't see you being like that through all your courses. I'm like,
No,
that is not her.
you're like, something is wrong with her if she's over here doing that. No, I like to make it fun. I like to laugh. I like to get people outside of their comfort zone. So that's why I've like incorporated some homework in there. So then that
Mhm.
way it's like, okay, it's fun stuff. Like
Right.
right now we're in the holiday season. And so I'm encouraging people to, I'm teaching people how to survive this holiday season. And so you have to create new holiday traditions.
Right.
And maybe that's shifting some things a little bit. Maybe that's I'm going to see Christmas lights and I never used to do that before. So I like to just incorporate fun stuff because you just can't sit and cry all day because it's not going to help you. Like we're trying to move past the tears. So I got to make
Mhm.
it fun so that you can get to the other side of the tears.
Right. I think it's therapeutic when you can get to the point where you can just laugh at yourself.
Yes. That is always my favorite thing. Like when you can laugh at yourself or go in places where you used to cry and now you laugh, like that
Mhm.
shows like, wow, I have really done it. Like I'm not the
Yeah.
same person anymore. And so I love when people are able to do that.
On your website, you have divorce, heartbreak, heal, live, and love. In what
Mhm.
ways do you inspire, uplift, and elevate people in these areas?
Oh my goodness. And so many like all of those areas because a lot of times, we're just kind of taught to when you go through stuff like that, you isolate, you sulk, and you just sit in the corner and you're like, I'm like, woe is me. And I'm like, no, we're coming up out of that. and I have to help you come out of that. And so every part of you, what you see on my website, healing, heartbreak, live, love, because a lot of times you don't even think you can live again. You don't even think you can love again. And so I'm here to change that and say, no, you actually can do all those things again. Like, you don't have to just sit and just be like, oh, I'm never going to love again, I'm a failure. Like, no, we're not going to like have that language. We're going to change our words. We're going to be mindful of our words. I'm going to uplift you to get past that. But we're also going to find new words that actually identify who you are in this new season of where
Mhm.
you are. So that's like huge to me.
Yeah, and identify where you want to go.
Yeah.
I tell my kids all the time that the power of words. I was in church one day, and the pastor at the time had said, if you sit down and take an assessment of where your life is today, if you like it or you don't, he wanted us to know that we spoke our way to
Mm-hmm.
where we are today. And if we want our lives to be different, we have to speak differently. So I think
Yes.
it's the power of word. Words are so powerful, so
Woo.
powerful. And a lot
Mm.
of times we do it to ourselves. The one that comes to my mind is, she makes me sick, she makes me sick, she makes me sick, she makes me sick. I mean, it's the truth. And then you
It
wonder why
is.
you're not feeling well. Well, you spoke it over. Words have power. So it's
Right.
good that someone, that you work with has you as a coach, someone who's been through it, and
Right.
someone who can guide them, because, with your own testimony and your own examples, to help them get out of it. That's the best thing, is to be in company with someone that you're currently going through a certain thing, and someone can say, girl, that was me. And let me tell you what happened
Hmm.
to me. And look at me now. I'm on the other
Right.
side. And it just gives people hope, you
It
know?
does. And one thing I tell people this all the time, one of my favorite verses in the Bible is Proverbs 18:21. And I love
Mhm.
the way it's written, but I also love the message version. It says, words kill, words give life. They're either poison or fruit. You choose. And we
Ooh.
often and when I read that in the message version, I was like, well, that just told me all about myself. Like, it's just so good to know, like, your words really do play a huge part in your life. And to hear they're
Mhm.
either poison or fruit, you choose. It's like, let me make sure I say the right things, because it's a serious thing. Like, I always tell my clients, your mind doesn't know when you're just having a bad day. Your mind is
Mhm.
like, oh, I'm just gonna hear this thought today, and that's just what I'm hearing. It's like, no, your mind doesn't know you just had a bad day or you're just having a bad moment. Your mind is just going to act according to what you say. And
Mhm.
so, it's your mind is it's just super, super powerful. And I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but we have over 50,000 thoughts a day. Just, we have,
50,000?
we have a
Wow.
lot of, and so I'm always like, why would you use any of these thoughts that we have per day for negative? Like,
Mm. Yeah.
that's one too many. You don't need to give all that attention to our negative thoughts. Like, let's think something positive. So the minute something negative comes in our mind, be like, oh, nope, nope, you don't live here. You can't be
Right.
here. And always flip it to something positive, because it is a huge thing. And so that is just something
Mhm.
that I'm super passionate about, is getting people to correct their words, because your words have so much power, and you never know what you're really saying and really speaking over yourself, that you don't need it all. So I really
Right.
challenge people on it.
And you also, like you said, you got to watch your thoughts too, you know?
You do. It's when
Yeah.
when I heard that, I was like, 50,000? Really? It was crazy when you hear it, but when you think about it, how many times are we thinking things and we don't say it out loud? We're just
Yeah.
thinking it in the bathroom, we're driving, we're taking a shower, and all of
Yeah.
those are your thoughts. And so it's a really serious thing.
What are a few of your short and long-term goals for your company?
Um, let's see. So short-term goals, I'm gonna write another ebook next year. I'm gonna start writing it this year. It'll come out next year. So that's one of my short-term goals. Also, to start my podcast. So I have a podcast that everybody has been on me. They're like, where is your podcast? Like, you've been talking about it and they're not letting me not do this podcast. So I'm coming out with a podcast next year. So that's some of my, those are like immediate short term goals. And then also I'm looking to do more speaking. So I definitely want to do more speaking at corporations and colleges. So that's kind of like short term goals. But then of course the longer term goals would be to continue that relationship with different corporations and
Right.
colleges, because I really want to teach people how to heal the
Mhm.
smart way and not the hard way, because a lot of times we just hear it so long and people are like, I don't even want to do this. But the way I teach it is in a smart way that actually you can take it from one activity to another. So if you dealt
Okay.
with romantic one time and now you're dealing with a job loss, you can go back to that, to my method, and it'll teach you how to do it, but just for a different area. And so
Mhm.
I just really want to get college kids, because college is hard and they're
Yes.
dealing with
I'm
so
gonna ask
many
you about
things.
that.
Oh my goodness. College kids are dealing with so many things that I never dealt with.
Right.
And so I really want to help them, because it can truly impact their grades. It can, it could be the thing that, takes them from graduating, right? And I don't want that for them. I want to teach them how they can use that to push forward and in a way
Right.
that makes sense for them and in their life. And then corporations, there's a lot of hurt people who are going to work every day because you have to. And so I really want to help people through that, because I was that person. I literally got divorced and the next day I went back to work like nothing happened. And there were, and I
Wow.
and me being me, I should have taken the rest of that week off to just process.
Mhm.
But I didn't have anyone to tell me like don't go back to work the next
Right.
day. I didn't have anybody to tell me that. So I went back into work and they were like, "Why are you here?" And I'm like, "Well, why didn't you tell me to stay home?" Like,
Can you
you
help a
told me
sister out?
to go home. But it's just so many people who don't have that, and they end up going back to work, and then they're like just spewing on everybody, just being
Right.
negative, and then no one wants to be around them. It could impact their performance at work, it impacts their productivity at work. So I really want to get into corporations and really help people, because if you're going to be at work every day and you're dealing with all of this, let me help you deal with it in a very smart way, so that you don't lose your job, you don't lose your friends, you don't lose things that are important to you because of your, heartbreak. So those are my short and long term goals.
LaNise, how important is it for someone to really, really stay in tune to their mental health?
It's so important. Depression is real.
Hmm.
Depression is very, very real. I know I've never really been a person that battled with depression. But when I was going through my divorce, I found myself depressed. And I had
Hmm.
no idea I was depressed. Like I was like, I'm depressed. Like that's just not, it's not something I'd ever dealt with before. So I didn't know that I was depressed, but I was finding myself not wanting to be around family. And family is
Hmm.
really important to me. But I was like, nope, I don't want to go. And my mom and my dad were like, you don't want to go? I'm like, nope, tell me about it. And I just sat in my room, sat, and they were like, you're really not going? And I'm like, no, y'all have fun. And so it really, what helped me out of it was God told me to get up, and I went and exercised. And
Hmm.
I've always enjoyed exercise. Like exercise has always been a part of my life. But in that moment, I really needed exercise. And so I got up, it was probably like 10 o'clock at night. And I exercised and I took a shower and I was like, I feel better. And then from then on,
Hmm.
exercise was already there, but then it became an even bigger part of my life.
Right.
And so I just exercised and it really helped me out of that hole that I was like 2 steps away from. It helped me
Right.
through that. And so mental health is everything, especially now. A lot
Yeah.
of people are dealing with things in silence. And I hate that for people, because there are people here who want to help you, but we don't know you need the help. And so I always
Right.
tell people, if you need help, please reach out, because we want to help you. Like, we don't want to see people go through depression. I don't want to see another person like lose their life, whether it's something that they did to themselves or that someone did to them. Like, I don't want to see that. And so I truly, truly want everybody to take their mental health serious. It's okay to say you need help. A lot of times, especially in the Black community, we're afraid to say we need help.
Hmm.
We're afraid to like raise our hand and say, I really could use some help. But it's okay to say you need help. But I just want everybody to know that, it's okay to read a book about, you know, putting things back into perspective, right? Like it's okay to do those things, and it's okay. No one's going to talk about you. They should probably join you. So,
True.
you know, share the book with them, share it with your neighbor because they probably need
Yeah,
it,
have a book
but yeah, I so that's, it's super important to me. So I really am like pushing it for people, like get the help if you need the help. And if you need somebody to just talk to, reach out. And let's see how we can, work you through what you're going through so that you're not alone.
Yeah, when you watch the news every day, you can see more and more that we're in a mental health epidemic. And
Yes.
on the news they talk about so many things, but the one thing they're really not zeroing in on is the mental health epidemic and issues that we have. And you
Right.
can see that we are in a crisis because of the signs and some of the news stories that come out. And I realized that um, mental health was really at an all-time high when my daughter was telling me that several times throughout the semester, her school will close down for mental health day for everybody, teachers,
Mm.
students, the people like in the, cafeteria and stuff that have to work, but, they shut down and they say, okay, Monday or Wednesday is going to be a mental health day. And I told her, I said, that's not a day for you to run around. That's a day for you to really rest and just relax because you're just going with all these classes. And I just thought that, okay, if a college is giving mental health days, that tells you right there that where it's an epidemic, and we really really need to hone in on that, and we need to take it a little bit more seriously.
We do, and I love to hear that your daughter's college is doing that. Like that warms my heart. I'm like, wow, I wish more colleges would do that. And maybe they do, but this is the first time I've had a conversation with anyone where they
Mhm.
mention that. So that just warms my heart because we really do need to take a break. I mean,
Right.
we're like in like we just keep going and going and going and we never sit down. And so it's a really big deal. And honestly, that was kind of a part of the reason why I got shingles because I was stressed out.
Stressed
I
out.
was very stressed, and stress is one of the reasons why you can get shingles. And
Okay.
I was like, I'm not stressed. I'm not stressed. And I was stressed, and I had to really sit with the fact that I was stressed and what does that mean? And I did a lot of shifts after I had shingles. I was like, I'm not going to be out all day. When I'm tired, I'm tired. When I need a nap, I need a nap. And I was okay with it because I'm like, shingles can take you out. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, my parents will not have this taking me out. So I'm not about to do that to them. So we're gonna have to figure something out. And so yeah, mental health is huge. And we just don't always know the signs because anybody can smile all day and you never know that they're just wearing a mask. We're still in this pandemic where everybody had to wear a mask, but a lot of people were wearing an invisible mask every day.
That's true.
And they wear it so well, it's like you don't even know they have it on, and they're really battling some major issues. And
Right.
sometimes they do a really great job of hiding it. So even if you are in their space, you don't even know. But then we have other times where you can kind of tell something's going on. And so I always tell people just be kind. Like you really truly never know what someone is going through. They
That's
could be
true.
battling a lot. So if you see something that could help them, send them a book. I've sent people books before, like I saw this, I thought it could help you, or I
Mm-hmm.
see things online and like if I see something that I know somebody has said they're battling, I send it to them and I'm like, I'm not trying to be in your business, but because you're my friend, I'm in your business now. But if you
Right.
I will tell
Send
you.
you the resources.
So I just try to share things with people because I'm like, so many things you could be battling. And I don't want people to know you're not alone. So I may not know
Right.
personally what you're dealing with, but if I see something, I can send you something to help you. So
Right.
it's huge. I applaud your daughter's college because that is huge. And I hope more colleges are hearing this and they actually take heed.
Yeah, and they do it several times a semester, but the key is I had to tell her that it's purposeful. So you've got to use it to unwind, right?
Right.
And just to do nothing. And she's learning now the importance and the power of doing nothing and really resting, especially when you have a full load and you're busy. And I want to touch back on something that you said before, is that people don't have to suffer in silence. And I understand you don't want to reach out to everyone, but I know that certain jobs have different benefits. Counselors, FASP, FSAP, I think it is. And take advantage. I just want to, tell the viewers, take advantage of, if you have health insurance and there's a therapy option on there, counseling, therapy, because there's a difference. But take advantage of it, because like you said, sometimes talking to someone who's not attached to that you're going through gives you a different outlook. They can give you a different outlook of what you're going through.
Right.
And but we're in the holiday season, and from October to December, the suicide rate goes up. The shootings go up. It's just a bad time spiritually, I think, when it comes to people just feeling like there's no hope in this season, a season that's supposed to be forgiving and happy, and about the birth of Christ. This is the one season that just people just feel like there's no hope. And I want you, before we end, I want you to speak to that viewer that may be out there, whether they're watching tonight or they may watch this or listen to this podcast later on this week. Let's talk to that individual and kind of tell them, how you can help them, and if they need your help services, how they can reach you.
Absolutely. So the holidays, like you said, is super hard to deal with, right? Like, depression goes up. Like you said, shootings go up. It makes it a little challenging for those of us like myself and like you who enjoy the holiday season.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly having to really pay attention to what's going on and to pay attention to your circle to make sure everyone is okay, because it is really challenging. And so I really encourage people to say no to, activities that remind you of your past. So if you
Mm-hmm.
dealt with something that was really hard, don't do that again, right? Like, say no, I'm not going to do it. You have the right to say no. You have the right to say, I don't want to do that this year. If people try to bring you into talking about a situation that you don't want to talk about, you have the
Mm-hmm.
right to remain silent and say, I don't want to talk about that because it's not good for me, or it's going to take me to a bad place. So I do want to encourage people to be mindful that you do have that right, but then also to create new activities, right? And create new traditions for yourself. So what does that look like for you? Like, write out a list of what are some things that you like to do. And then what are some things that you don't mind trying? You may say, I've never tried ice skating before, right? And so in that, you go find some place where you can actually do ice skating and try something different. But I also tell people, don't fall into the trap of drugs and drinking, thinking that that's going to solve your problem. Because a lot of times we go to these holiday parties, we go to ugly sweater parties, we go to get-togethers, and the first thing someone wants to hand you is a drink. And you may think, oh, there's nothing wrong with this drink. But when you're battling these things, that does not help.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a distraction to what you're really dealing with. And so I
Right.
just tell people to say no to that, or put a limit to it and bring somebody with you who can say, hey, you've had your limit. You can't have any more. So the next drink is water, because you
Right.
need somebody who can hold you accountable to
There
what's
you go.
actually happening.
Mhm.
And so those are some of the major things that I tell people, because it is a hard time. I know, but I like to tell people that you can survive and you can thrive this holiday season. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be hard. And if you're watching this and it's not the holiday season, whatever holiday is important to you, that's your holiday season. So if it's your
Mhm.
birthday, that's your holiday season. If it's Valentine's Day, that's your holiday season. So whatever that holiday that's important to you is that season. So these same techniques and things that I'm talking about applies then too. But just, remember these as you're going through your own personal holiday season, whatever that is to you.
Your information is strolling at the bottom of the tonight's broadcast. What if someone wants to get in contact with you with all the information? What is the best way for them to reach out to you?
The best way is to just send me an email. I'm constantly in my emails. You can always reach me there. You can find me really on any social media platform. I make sure that I get everything. But you can just shoot me an email. I'd be more than happy to help you and just help you through this season that you're in right now. Because I really like to see people on the other side. So you can
Right.
reach me email me. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me here on Facebook. You can find me wherever, and I will be more than happy to help.
Well, LaNise, I thank you so much for being
You're welcome.
on tonight's show. And I really thank you for the tips that you gave at the end. I think it's important for people to partner with coaches that have kind of been through what you've been through, and they can help you, through some of the journeys, similar journeys that
Right.
they have gone through. So I think, when you're looking for a coach, you have to really see if that person identifies with the need that you have, and that way that person can guide you through it because they've been through it. And I think that's very important.
Yes. And I like to always tell people don't think you can do it by yourself, because
That's
when you do
right.
it by yourself, it takes 10 times as long. You don't have any support. You don't have anybody that's already gone through it to say, hey, there's, something around the corner that's going to bite you. So I need you to not take a left. I need you to go right. And so that's the importance of having someone there that can actually walk you through it.
Yeah, accountability partners. The
Yeah.
right accountability partner
Literally, the wrong ones
is
will have you going
important.
down the path and hit you upside the head, and you're like, what kind of accountability partner are you? You horrible. So you need the right accountability. So I promise I'm
Right,
not going to steer anybody down the path that's wrong, because my integrity will not let me do that. So
right,
you never have to worry about that. I will not tell you to go left when you should go right and turn down the corner. I'm not going to do
right.
that.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you putting that look on the air.
Yes. So
Well,
no.
LaNise, you hang on, and I want to thank everybody for joining in tonight. We were interviewing LaNise Thrasher, aka the Love Cheerleader. You can check her out on her Facebook, Instagram, website, and her email address when you rewatch the show. If you missed
Yep.
anything, her email address will be at the bottom, and you can reach out to her. Um, I want to thank everybody for viewing in tonight, and we will see you next Wednesday. This will be the last live show of 2022 is next Wednesday, so make sure you tune in, and we will see you next Wednesday, same time, same place. Good night, everybody.
Everybody.